I'm up in the roof. I haven't boarded the roof out, so I've got makeshift bits of wood that I'm using. So what you need up here is a decent work light. This is a 400 watt spot work light. As you can see, it has good coverage. And you can pick these up for about 12 quid from somewhere like Screwfix. You need gloves. So it doesn't matter what they are, they're snowboarding gloves, because what you're going to be doing is you're going to be moving loft insulation around to find, you know, where to mark out inside the roof. So what you need is a mask. Don't know if you can see that, I don't know how good the camera is. So decent mask, decent set of gloves, work light, obviously tape measure, pen, obviously the drawing that I did measuring up downstairs, which I'm going to mate onto the ceiling, on the inside of the roof, based on measuring down below. So I'm using the light fitting as a point of reference for all this. So it's obviously fitting a lighting kit, the optic lighting kit based on actually drilling through your existing roof. Some people drill into an extra layer of plasterboard, then mount that onto the ceiling. I think that's actually more effort and takes longer. So with proper planning, this way can be done right. You know, like I said, you need to make sure you've got the right tools for the job. Work light, gloves, mask, because you get a lot of the fibres in the air from loft insulation, and very quickly you can stuff to breathe, especially moving a lot of it. And also gloves, this stuff's very fibrous and very sharp, and you don't feel it at first. Pick it up a lot, the fibres dig into your skin, you get like a lot of almost like splinters in there, and it gets very sore and irritated. So apologies if I'm a bit muffled speaking. So what I've currently done is I've started to roll back the loft insulation, and then I'm going to find the light and mark out my zones. So basically what I'm doing is I'm making 4 quadrants, so 4 zones, splitting into 4 sections of equal sizes, and then I'm then going to obviously mark up on this side, drill through with a 1.5mm drill bit all the way through, check I'm happy with that. And then what I'm going to do is downstairs I'm going to drill upwards with a 6.5mm drill bit, because I've got some really nice tips that make the fibre optics look a lot nicer than just having the fibre optic through and cut. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So yeah, I'm going to start moving the rest of the loft insulation, then I'm going to... Right, okay, so I've cleared it out and marked it. Something I didn't mention is when you're doing this, have some music going. It always music always helps when you're working. Right, so if you're a bit of a novice to working in the roof, a bit of advice is don't obviously stand on a plasterboard, because you will end up in the room below, and it'll be quite painful. So always walk on these main support beams, the ones that are running straight away from me, as you can see from the camera now. Don't step on these ones here, because these aren't as sturdy. I mean, in some houses it depends on how they're built, but they do run all the way across, but I'm not sure. I think these are nailed just from the side. So only ever stand on the middle beam and the main beams that run that way. So if you look at the room, you can see the way the rafters run. Okay, so you're on the load bearing wood. Okay, so that is just one thing to bear in mind. If you've obviously put wooden boarding down, you need to take that up. So what I've done, critics out there might say it's crude lines, but what I've done is I measured from the light, like I said, downstairs. I looked at the area, so obviously use the light as a reference point. I know it's screwed to that beam just there where the cables go through. And then what I've done is I've measured, as you can see, in a mark. So this is 40 inches from the light. So I've done 40 inches all the way down. Like I said, it doesn't have to be a perfect line, because, well, unless you're putting the lights on in a perfect line manner. I'm also having them dotted about, so it just gives you an area to work to. If these cameras are awful, I apologise. You can kind of get the idea. It's gone blurred. Oh. So there we go. So like I said, the lines don't have to be perfect. So I've marked out 40 that way, and then up here I've marked out, so that's 50. So I've marked it to that beam and then done. So then what I'm going to do is mark out that way, well, you can't really see, you mark that way, bring it back, and then the plan is from then is to drill random holes. So sorry, I'm going to split it into 4 sections. You have a section there, section there, section there, section here. So basically quartered the overall thing. They're all deployment. That makes it easier to work. And then, because I'm going to put 120 lights in, I'm going to drill 30 random holes. Well, mark up 30 random holes here, 30 random holes in this zone, 30 random holes in that zone, and in that zone. And then because of the way the joists go, the beams, I'm going to mount the actual unit over there in the corner, because it's easier to run the optic cables this way across there than it's going to be to try and feed them through these over here. If I ran it that way down and over there, it's a bit neater. So I'm mounting the unit over there, and I've got 3 meters of optic lengths, 200 of them. I'm going to use 120, but they will spider from there and come here. I'll show you with the unit in a bit. So that kind of shows what I'm doing. I'm creating these zones, just breaking it and making it easy. And when I dot about, you know, if I'm not happy with some of the dots, I'll do it lightly at first. So obviously going to position the lights. I'll then obviously re-drill them. Because I'm doing it straight into the ceiling. Hello, lights. Oh, come on, camera. Because I'm doing it straight into the ceiling, what I will do is I have to make sure that I'm spaced them out enough. So, because obviously you've got these beams where you can't obviously drill through and run lights. So I have to make sure I space them out enough so you can't tell that there's a beam running down there, because obviously that's going to be completely light free. So that's why I'm not trying to put too many down. I'm trying to put enough down so it looks nice and there's a good coverage, but I'm trying to dot them about enough that you can't tell where these beams run, because obviously wherever these beams are, I cannot run the optics through. You know, you don't want to start drilling through these supporting beams, you're going to weaken them, so that's a big no-no. Right, so now what I've done is I've totally marked out the whole area. You can see all the loft insulations up, and if you can see, I've gone round and I've dotted with the pen in random locations, because obviously that's what I'm going for, Starry Night. Dots. So, and then I've written how many dots. So I've done 30 in that zone. A couple of zones have got 31 because I had a couple of extra clips. My only concern is this beam's quite thick, so I'm hoping it's not too noticeable that there's a big band that won't have any stars in. But with not doing too many and dotting them about, I'm hoping I've negotiated that risk. So one thing your brain tries to do is tries to watch these zones and ignore these beams when you're dotting down. So you've got to be mindful and make sure you put some right next to the beam itself, because you're going to end up with gaps. Also, I've marked out a zone where the light is below, where I don't want to be drilling through in case I catch it, because it's a chandelier. So as you can see, I've dotted around. I've done it in the 4 zones. So that zone over there is a 31. So you can see it's quite nicely marked out across there, and it's pretty square. You know, it's a bit hard to tell with all the other beams and stuff. Right, it's now downstairs in my daughter's room. You can see the 1.5mm drill holes. It has made a bit of mess in here, but you can kind of see with the camera, this spacing's pretty good. You know, like I said, I've used about 120 lights, and you can't really tell that there's any beams. I've managed to kind of space them out nicely. You know, with any more lights, you know, you're gonna notice the more you add where the beams are and things, but no, it doesn't show up very well on this. So that's the 1.5mm holes drilled, and it's worked in quite a nice zone. It has kept it, you know, kind of what I wanted, you know, in the zone as such. So there we go. So now what I'm going to do is take the 6.5mm drill bit, and the reason why I'm doing this is you could run the fibres through those holes, just clean them up a bit. This is the reason why I drilled down. Normally you drill up so you don't get this popping kind of nasty effect. You know, it kind of like splits outwards because the drill's forcing through. So what I got are these. So what you do with these, if it'll focus. So the fibre cable goes in there through the rubber grommet, and then it sits in there, and then what you're going to see from the ceiling is that there's a 7mm across when it focuses again. Hello. And so what you do is you drill a 6.5mm drill bit hole, and then what you use is 5-minute epoxy clear. Like the Gorilla stuff's really good because it's flexible. You just glue it there. If you use cheap epoxy or non-clear, it can divert the light so it doesn't shine, or it can expand or shrink and damage the cable. So I did a test gluing session with the Gorilla epoxy, 5-minute epoxy, and it was really, really good. Still had flexibility, went crystal clear, and the light was transferred all the way through. So what we're going to have is, oops, not that. What we're going to have eventually is obviously all these holes are going to become them. So yeah, I'm going to do a test one now, and then I'll show you how it went. Right, so now I've drilled the 6.5mm holes all the way around the room. What I've done now is I've come in the garage and I've put the box where it's going to be located. And then what I've done is, with the fibre cables, I've then done the same principle as the zoning. So I've split off into 4 groups, the fibre cables, and I've routed them where I want them. So obviously what it means I can do is route them neater by doing that. So it is a bit messy and a bit fiddly, but by splitting off into 4 zones, it means it's a lot easier to work with. So all I'm doing is going to feed them through the holes. As you can see, that one's already fed, and then I'm going to tape it down so it can't move around, and then I'm going to do that for all 120 of them, and get all the cables nicely through, nice and tight. Okay, so once you're happy with your install and how it's all going to fit, I'm just need to bolt that down, position a bit better. But then what you do is you just lay your the loft insulation back out as it was before, just laying it gently over the top of the cables, because you still want obviously loft insulation, because you lose a lot of heat if you don't have that. So then just roll it back and cover it back over. So cables are in, you've masked them down, you take them down where you want them. The box is in position. Like I said, I just need to position that slightly better and make sure it's not going to have any of the roof insulation over it. So I'm going to put a little bit of a wooden platform above it to give it some ventilation, and then I'll show you the finished product downstairs. What we've done now is we've fed all the cables through the ceiling, through the holes, and then we've started to put these tips on that I mentioned. So what we'll do is we're going to glue the tips to the cables using the 5-minute epoxy, and then push the whole unit up into the drilled hole. Okay, so kind of gives you an idea what it looks like twinkling night sky. And then obviously when we've got them in place, it'll look like a twinkly star. Right, so they were epoxy glued, and I've been pushing the units in. So you can see there they are dangling, and there they are pushed in. And the thing I like about this more than just using an optics kit where you put the ends through and just cut them, is the fact that this looks more like stars. So just turn the light off. So if you look at them, it's very hard to see this, but when they twinkle, they actually kick the light out to the sides like a twinkly star. Like I said, it doesn't really do it justice on this phone because it's going in and out of focus, but it gives a really wide spread. There you go, that's probably the best angle you can see it. There you go. So the ceiling is a twinkly, starry night. And here we have the finished article. I'm currently lying on the floor because I'm in pain. If you're going to do this, I'd advise taking your time and doing it over a couple of weekends. This has been done all in one Saturday, starting at about 10:30 and finishing whatever time it is now, which is about 7-8 o'clock. So, but it was well worth it. I mean, the video doesn't do it justice, but it is brilliant. So using those inserts really does give it that star when it flashes. You know, I've got it on like an off-white twinkle at the minute. There's loads of settings on this thing. Let me just try and stand up. Oh jeez. So there we go. That's stood up. So there's loads of different settings on this box. If you want to know about which one I've bought as well, just message me, I'll let you know. So then we've got pure white, but I also quite like the I don't know, white and a bit of colour. We've got loads of settings on this thing. More than I've had time to play with. And you can change the motor speed, the twinkle speed, which is pretty good. Turn it on or off. This is what the room looks like. It's a bit of a mess because obviously we're in the middle of decorating it, but that kind of gives you it's a lot impressive with the lights on in during the day, but then as soon as you knock those lights off, twinkle away. So that's finished article. So hope you enjoyed the video. I did break it into parts because it is pretty long. If you've got any questions or need any help, feel free to message me. Hope you enjoyed this. Bye.